The little girl ran up to the stranger in the sleek black heels and whispered, "Mommy." The woman froze. The single dad chased after her, heart racing. Maddie knows she's not. But when he looked up and saw the woman's face, he felt the blood drain from his. Because she wasn't a stranger. She was his new billionaire boss. And the last time he saw her, she disappeared without a word. The doors of Hartley International's downtown tower glided open with a quiet hiss, spilling golden sunlight onto the polished marble floor. The lobby buzzed with tension, pressed suits, clacking heels, hushed conversations about quarterly disasters. It was Monday. It was war. And Tyler Reeves was just trying not to drop the damn sandwich. He had Maddie on one hip, her tangled curls sticking to his shirt collar, and a crumpled paper bag of cold turkey and cheddar in his free hand. He hadn't planned to bring his 5-year-old daughter into the skyscraper he worked in, but when the school called and said she had a mild fever, he'd had no choice. He was a single dad. He didn't get sick days. He didn't get backup. "Daddy, my nose is itchy," Maddie mumbled into his shoulder, her voice warm and sleepy. "I know, baby. We're almost done. Just need to drop this off at my desk." The elevator pinged. Before he could reach it, Maddie squirmed out his arms and landed clumsily on her little pink sneakers. "Stay with me," he said quickly, but she was already wandering, drawn by something. Or someone. Tyler's heart dropped the second she started running. A tall woman in a black pan-and shirt suit stood across the lobby, speaking into a phone, her posture like steel. Dark hair pulled back tight. Thin silver necklace. She wasn't looking at them, wasn't looking at anything. Her eyes were obscured by dark sunglasses, even indoors, and her voice carried like it commanded entire cities. And Maddie, his sweet, shy Maddie, ran straight toward her. Tyler shouted, "Maddie, no." Too late. The little girl grabbed the woman's leg, hugged it tightly, and said in a soft, certain voice, "Mommy." The entire lobby seemed to pause. The woman looked down slowly, her mouth parting slightly as she saw the child wrapped around her thigh. Her brows twitched, just once, but her expression otherwise remained unreadable. Still, icy. Tyler rushed over, heart in his throat. "I'm so sorry she's been confused and tired," and he reached for Maddie's arm, trying to peel her away. Maddie looked up at the woman. "You look like her. I remember your eyes." The woman's voice was calm. "That's very sweet." Her eyes lifted toward Tyler, and her expression changed. The cold civility in her jaw cracked. Her lips twitched, just slightly. She took off her sunglasses. Tyler froze. Everything inside him recoiled, because he knew those eyes. Hazel, with flecks of green. Eyes that once laughed in libraries. Eyes that once cried into his pillow. Eyes he hadn't seen in almost 7 years. "Elena," he whispered, like the name might explode if spoken too loud. She said nothing. Instead, she looked down at Maddie, crouched like it was the most natural thing in the world, and gently said, "What's your name, sweetheart?" Maddie beamed. Maddie Reeves. That name. The last name. It registered. A crack of recognition flashed across Elena's face. She stood slowly, composed herself, then turned to Tyler, and with a voice like polished glass, said, "Effective this morning, Mr. Reeves, I am your new employer. You now report directly to me. Welcome to the executive floor." Tyler felt like the ground had been ripped out from beneath him. He hadn't seen her since the day she vanished. No texts, no calls, not even a breakup. And now she was standing here, draped in power, wrapped in secrets, and looking down at him like she'd been watching from above all along. Tyler didn't remember how he got Maddie back into the elevator. His legs moved on instinct, his arm locked tightly around her tiny body, her curls brushing his chin as she chattered about the pretty lady with mommy's eyes. His mind, though, was miles away, 7 years back, to be exact. Ellie, that's what he called her then, before the designer clothes, before the skyscraper and billion-dollar company, before her name was ever followed by Hartley International. Now she was Elena Hartley, cold, distant, the most powerful woman in the building, and the mother his daughter just mistook for her own. Back in a cramped office that doubled as his workspace and occasional nap station, Tyler sat Maddie down with a bottle of orange juice and tried to stop his hands from shaking. He reached into his drawer for a granola bar, ripped it open, handed it to her. His phone buzzed. "Meeting. 15 minutes. Top floor. E. No punctuation. No smiley face. Just steel. He stared at the screen like it might catch fire in his hand. When he stepped into the top floor boardroom, the air smelled like money. Polished wood. Fresh flowers. Leather chairs. It was a different world, far removed from the greasy workstations and late-night overtime where Tyler had clawed his way up. She was already there, standing with her back to him, looking out over the city skyline, her silhouette framed by floor-to-ceiling windows. Black pant and shirt. Straight posture. Impossibly still. "You don't have to do this," Tyler said, the words slipping out before he could stop them. "Whatever this is." She turned slowly. No anger. No smile. Just calculation. "Do what, Mr. Reeves?" He winced. "Elena, don't play this game." "Do you think this is a game?" He stepped closer. "You left me. No explanation. No warning. Just gone. And you moved on," she said flatly. "Had a daughter." His jaw clenched. She's not from a relationship. Maddie's not even biologically mine. She's my sister's kid." That finally cracked something. Elena blinked, her lips parting slightly. "What?" "She was a drug addict. Disappeared when Maddie was 2. I've raised her since." Silence settled in like a fog. She walked to the table, pulled out a chair, and sat, not as a CEO, but as someone suddenly unsure. "I didn't know." "No," he said, voice rough. "Because you never gave me the chance to explain anything. One day we were planning to move in together. Next day you ghosted." Her eyes glistened, just faintly. "I was pregnant," she whispered. "And scared. And then I wasn't pregnant anymore." The words hit like a thunderclap. His breath caught. "You what?" "I lost the baby. My father sent me away before anyone found out. I gave birth to a stillborn girl in a clinic in Zurich. He said if anyone knew, I'd shame the family. That I'd never get the company. That I was weak." Tyler sat down hard. "I tried to call you," she added, "but the number stopped working. I didn't know if you cared, if you moved on, and I didn't want you to see me like that." He closed his eyes, the ache behind them unbearable. "I never changed my number." Elena went still. He opened his eyes again, and for the first time since the lobby, she looked human, vulnerable, real. "I carried it alone for 7 years," she said. "And then your daughter, Maddie, looked up at me with those big eyes and called me Mom, and I cracked." Tyler's voice was barely a whisper. "Why am I here?" "Because I don't know what to do with this." She leaned forward. "With you." The next few days were a blur. Tyler buried himself in work. He avoided the top floor, ate lunch at his desk, walked Maddie home from school like nothing had happened. But Elena, she didn't avoid him. She sent emails. Some formal, others laced with memory. "You still drink black coffee? Do you still keep a notebook in your back pocket? Remember the bookstore on 6th? And he answered, slowly, hesitantly, "Yes, yes." It closed 2 years ago. He didn't know why he wrote back. Maybe because it hurt too much not to. Maybe because part of him had never stopped waiting. Then came the invitation. A Saturday picnic. Central Park. Casual. Maddie insisted on wearing her favorite glitter dress. When they arrived, Elena was already there. No bodyguards, no sunglasses, just jeans and a loose navy shirt. She was barefoot on the blanket, a book in her lap, and a nervous smile on her lips. "You came," she said. Tyler sat beside her. "She wanted to see you." Maddie skipped over and crawled into Elena's lap like she'd been doing it forever. The billionaire didn't flinch, just held her, breathed her in. "I keep dreaming about the daughter I lost," Elena said softly, her hand brushing Maddie's curls. "And then I open my eyes, and she's gone again." Tyler looked at her, voice tight. "And what is Maddie to you?" She didn't answer, but her arms wrapped tighter around the girl in her lap. And Tyler understood. That night, after he put Maddie to bed, Tyler stood by his apartment window, staring at the city. So much had changed. So fast. He didn't trust her, but he couldn't hate her, either. She was still Ellie, the girl who once made him believe in forever. And now, she was the woman asking for a second chance. 3 weeks. That's how long it had been since Maddie called Elena Mommy, in front of an entire lobby full of executives. Now it was almost normal. On weekends, Elena would stop by the duplex with fresh croissants or takeout noodles. On Wednesdays, she picked up Maddie from school in a sleek black car that made every other parent stare. Tyler didn't even know how it started. Maddie just asked one day, and Elena had said yes like it was the most obvious thing in the world. It was dangerous. reckless. And Tyler couldn't stop it, because his daughter had started smiling again. Not the polite, careful smile she wore since her mother vanished, but the big, dimpled, full-face grins he hadn't seen in over a year. Ellie said I should try karate. Maddie said one night over chicken nuggets. Tyler looked up. Did she? She said I kick like a CEO. He blinked. What does that even mean? Maddie giggled and karate chopped her apple slices. Tyler tried to laugh, but deep down his chest tightened. Because Elena wasn't just showing up, she was slipping into the gaps. The invisible places. The soft corners Maddie saved for the people she trusted. And Tyler wasn't sure if he was okay with that. At work it got worse. Tyler wasn't used to power games. He was a systems analyst. Numbers made sense. People, not so much. But ever since Elena had returned, the office felt colder. Polished. Calculated. Some said the new CEO was brilliant. Others called her a silent storm. And Tyler? He couldn't afford to feel anything about her. Not publicly. Not professionally. So he said nothing when she passed him in meetings with unreadable eyes. Said nothing when she forwarded him exclusive data sets at midnight. Said nothing when her emails started ending with his name alone. Just Elena. No title. No flair. Just her. He told himself it meant nothing. Until she invited him to a gala. A corporate fundraiser. Black tie. Full press. Political donors. Celebrities. Why me? He asked flatly when she walked into his office and handed him the engraved invitation. Because I trust you, she said. And because it's time people saw the man who's been holding this company's infrastructure together. He stared at the thick paper in his hand. Besides, she added, a hint of vulnerability leaking into her voice, I can't stand another night of fake laughter and handshakes alone. The night of the gala, Tyler stood in front of his mirror in a rented tux that still smelled faintly of dry cleaning chemicals. His collar felt tight. His hands wouldn't stay still. When he opened the door and saw her, standing in a dark green silk gown, her hair loose around her shoulders, his breath stopped. She smiled, and something inside him cracked. Maddie peeked from behind his leg. Wow, you're like a Disney queen. Elena knelt down, laughing softly. Thank you, sweetheart. Tyler watched as Maddie hugged her without hesitation. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't confused. She wanted her there. And that terrified him. The gala was a war zone in lace. Everyone wanted a piece of Elena. Mayor's assistant. Venture capitalists. Former governors. Tyler stood off to the side with a glass of champagne he didn't want to drink, feeling like an unpaid bodyguard. Then she called him over. This is Tyler Reeves, Elena announced. My lead system strategist. And the smartest man in this room. People smiled politely, raised glasses, asked questions. But what they didn't see was the way her hand brushed his arm, or how her eyes never left him for too long. Later, on the balcony, away from the noise, she leaned on the railing and whispered, Do you ever wonder what we'd be if none of it happened? All the time, he said quietly. And I think I would have married you. She turned to him slowly. You think? He exhaled. No. I know. And for a moment, the world held its breath. But then a voice interrupted. Miss Hartley, we need you inside. Now. Her assistant. Pale. Sweating. She straightened. What's wrong? There's a journalist. He's saying he knows. About the child you lost. And about Mr. Reeves. Tyler's chest locked. Elena's voice went cold. Where is he? Gone. But he left a card. Said if you don't comment, he'll publish everything. She closed her eyes. Then handed Maddie's bracelet to Tyler, the one she carried in her purse everywhere now. Take her home. Please. I need to fix this. He wanted to ask what she meant, what she planned to do. But something in her eyes told him this was war now. And Elena Hartley didn't lose wars. The fallout came fast. By morning, the headlines were everywhere. Billionaire heiress hid pregnancy at 18. Sources say baby was from former employee. Hartley scandal. Secret past, secret child. Is the CEO of Hartley International rebuilding her family? Tyler's phone rang nonstop. Reporters camped outside his apartment. And through it all, Elena said nothing. She didn't deny, didn't deflect. She held a press conference, looked into the camera, and said, I lost a child. I made mistakes. But I've also found something I thought I never would again. Connection. And I won't apologize for healing. No names. No photos. But the world knew. And so did Maddie. Is she really my mom? She asked that night, curled under a blanket, wide-eyed. Tyler knelt beside her. No, baby. She's not. But she loves you like a mom. Maddie frowned. Then what does that make her? He thought for a long time. Finally said, maybe it just makes her family. It began with a signature. A single document. 23 pages long. Legalese wrapped in corporate courtesy. By the end of the day, it would cost Elena everything. The board meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. sharp. Tyler was still in his second-floor office reviewing system security reports when the alert pinged on his screen. Restricted meeting. Hartley International. Emergency session. He wasn't invited. But he knew. Something was wrong. He texted Elena. Are you okay? No reply. Then another alert hit his screen. Internal notification. System override attempt from a C-level account. And that's when Tyler understood. Someone was moving against her. He burst out of his office, skipping the elevator and taking the stairs 2 at a time. When he reached the executive floor, a security guard blocked him. She's in a closed session, the guard said. I need to see her. Now. You're not cleared. Tyler's voice turned ice cold. Then tell her system admin says someone's using her credentials to sign off assets. The guard hesitated. Stay here. 2 agonizing minutes later, the door cracked open, and Elena stepped out. She looked calm. Too calm. But Tyler saw it. The tightness in her jaw. The crack in her armor. They voted, she said softly. His chest tightened. Voted what? To remove me. Effective immediately. He stared at her, stunned. What? Her lips twitched, like she wanted to laugh but couldn't. Because I was weak. Because I humanized myself. Because I made headlines that made them uncomfortable. Because I love something other than this building. Tyler's voice turned low. You trusted them. That was my mistake. She handed him a flash drive. What's this? Her voice was steel now. Proof. Of everything they've done. Shady transfers. Off-books payments. Inflated invoices. They've been waiting to bury me with scandal so they could strip the company from me. And now they think they've won. Why give it to me? She met his eyes. Because you're the only one who won't sell it. Tyler swallowed hard. What are you going to do? She gave a small, tired smile. Start over. That night, Elena showed up at Tyler's door. No car. No heels. No guards. Just her. Drenched from the rain. Hair limp. Eyes bloodshot. Maddie squealed when she saw her. Ellie. Elena dropped to her knees, hugging the little girl like a lifeline. Tyler let her in without a word. She didn't speak until after Maddie was asleep. I thought I could control everything, she whispered, sitting on his old, stained couch. That if I worked harder, stayed colder, I could build something no one could take from me. He sat across from her. And I was wrong. The moment I opened my heart, they opened their knives. The silence stretched between them like thread about to snap. Then Tyler leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You're not done, he said. Not by a long shot. She looked up slowly. I'm not letting them win, he said firmly. And neither are you. Her laugh was bitter. You still believe in me. I never stopped. And that was when she broke. No tears. No sobs. Just one sharp inhale. One trembling hand reaching for his. And he took it. Because Elena Hartley might have lost everything. But she still had him. The next day, Tyler met with an old friend, Julius Carr, a whistleblower attorney. He slid the flash drive across the table. If this leaks, half the board goes down. Julius whistled. You sure she wants to fight? She doesn't, Tyler said. But I do. What about your job? I'm not working for them anymore. He took a deep breath. And neither is Elena. Over the next 2 weeks, the story exploded. Anonymous documents. Internal corruption. Wire transfers linked to shell companies. Bribes. Fraud. The board called it forged. The SEC didn't agree. Subpoenas were issued. Properties seized. 3 top executives resigned overnight. And in the middle of the storm, Elena stayed quiet. She didn't run. She didn't beg. She waited. Until the call came. The interim CEO resigned. The board, desperate to save face, voted to reinstate her. Conditionally. Elena said no. Tyler found her in the park that night, sitting alone on a bench. You could go back, he said. She shook her head. Not like this. Not with them. Then what? She turned to him. I'm starting over. My way. No suits. No empires. Just impact. She paused. And I want you with me. His voice caught. Doing what? She smiled. Building something that can't be taken away. 6 months later, no one talked about Boardroom betrayal anymore. They talked about Ellis and Reeves Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping single parents return to the workforce. And they talked about how the woman who used to run one of the country's biggest corporate empires now sat cross-legged on gym floors, handing out job training kits with a man in rolled-up sleeves and a little girl with glitter sneakers. Because Elena Hartley didn't just rise again. She chose a different mountain, and she took Tyler and Maddie with her. It hadn't been easy. Starting over meant burning through what was left of her fortune. It meant sleepless nights, grant rejections, cramped offices, and shared workspaces. It meant watching Maddie draw crayon portraits of Ellie's new office on the back of takeout menus. But also meant peace. No cameras, no forced smiles, no boardroom battles. Just purpose. Real people. Real stories. Like the single mother of 3 who got her first job in 5 years because of the foundation's childcare grant. Or the mechanic dad who cried when he saw someone believed in him enough to fund night classes. Elena poured herself into every detail. And Tyler? He was there every step of the way. Building databases. Hiring staff. Driving the foundation van when the budget didn't stretch far enough. They were partners now. Not just in work, but in life. It was on a quiet Sunday morning, while folding laundry on the couch, that Maddie asked the question no one was expecting. Are you going to marry Ellie? Tyler froze, half a shirt still in his hands. Elena looked up from the floor, wide-eyed. Maddie, he started. The little girl shrugged. You already kiss her when you think I'm not looking. Tyler choked on air. Elena laughed. Hard. Unfiltered. And then she said, only if your dad says yes. Maddie grinned like she'd won a game. Tyler turned beet red. But deep inside, something settled. A piece of him, long hollowed out by guilt and time, was whole again. 2 months later, in a park under string lights and a barely working speaker system, they said their vows. Elena wore a pale blue dress. Tyler wore a suit jacket that didn't match his pants. Maddie wore a crown made of daisies and held the rings. There was no press, no shareholders, no lavish ballroom, just 30 friends, a guitar player, and a woman who once ruled a company, now standing beside a man who once thought he'd never be enough. Tyler's voice cracked when he said, I never stopped waiting for you. Elena whispered, I was always coming home. And Maddie yelled, you may kiss now. Everyone laughed. Someone cried. Probably Marcus. And when they kissed, it wasn't the kind of love that burned hot and vanished. It was the kind that stayed. A reporter showed up at the foundation's community center, asking for a quote. Are you really the same Elena Hartley who used to run billion-dollar corporations? She looked up from her clipboard, surrounded by boxes of donated backpacks, her sleeves rolled up to the elbows. I used to be a lot of things, she said calmly. And now? She smiled as Tyler came out of the next room holding Maddie on his shoulders, both of them wearing matching aprons that said Team Ellis and Reeves. Now, she said, I'm exactly who I was always supposed to be. And then she turned away. Back to the real work. Back to the life no scandal could ever take from her.